5i team has learned that trying to keep up with the Georgia medical marijuana bid protests is no easy task. The Georgia Medical Cannabis Commission recently awarded what many call lucrative contracts to 6 bidders throughout the state.
But when senior I-Team reporter Dale Russell asked to sit in on the bid protest conferences, he was told no. Dale joins us now to explain why and what that means.
Well, Russ, it was a bit of a surprise to us. 21 bid protests were filed, which means ultimately 21 hearings could be held. And the losing bidders have complained about alleged irrational scoring, politics, conflicts of interest, and secrecy. So we wanted to hear what was being said in these pre-hearing conferences, but they said you can't come in.
We congratulate those who are potentially going to be the recipients of this award.
With the passage of Georgia's first ever legal marijuana law, the newly appointed commission chairman made a promise about the upcoming bid process.
This is going to go faster than you guys think it is.
But losing bidders and First Amendment advocates have criticized the secrecy of that bid process and want it open to patients, participants, and the public.
Somehow we mysteriously have the highest level of redaction and secrecy of any of the prior states or any of that.
All 7 of Georgia's Medical Cannabis Commission members were appointed by either the governor, lieutenant governor, or speaker of the House. The 6 commissioners chose the 6 winning marijuana growers themselves, with no outside help from industry experts. The chairman, Dr. Christopher Edwards, did not take part in the scoring. Only total scores were revealed. Individual scorecards were kept secret from the public and losing bidders. When the winning companies were announced and their applications made public, thousands of pages were blacked out. Is it gone too far in your mind?
You know, I don't know if it's gone too far.
State Representative Micah Gravely authored the bill that allowed commissioners to keep their scorecards secret and the winning bidders' applications hidden.
But if there's anything that somebody's trying to hide, absolutely, that's going to be something that we want to address in any upcoming session.
So the I-Team asked to sit in on one of those pre-hearing conferences. But it turns out, even though the protests are right here on the state medical marijuana website, the discussions about those protests are confidential. Losing bidders filed a total of 21 protests, all unredacted and published on the state cannabis website. Hearings for oral arguments and pre-hearing status conferences were scheduled.
The public being shut out of these meetings is very concerning. Absolutely.
Fisher Law's attorney for Cumberland Curative. His client is protesting, and he was surprised to find out that the media and the public were not allowed to sit in on his status conference.
Public knowledge of what goes on within state government is critical if the public is going to hold their representatives or other elected officials politically accountable.
Executive Director Andrew Turnage wrote us to say there were no scheduled meetings involving commission members under the Georgia Open Meetings Act. He promised to notify us when those hearings are scheduled.
There's no information even available about what is going on, that we're just completely in the dark as patients waiting for this to happen.
Shannon Cloud is a mother of a teenage girl battling a rare form of epilepsy. Medical marijuana has helped in her daughter's treatment.
This is a rescue spray that can help stop seizures.
She and her husband Blaine fought for 8 years to get a law passed in Georgia that could give hope to thousands of children like her own. She is frustrated with more delays, ready to put politics in the past and let the protests play out. While they do, she just wants the winning bidders to start producing the medicine so many Georgians are desperately waiting for.
We've got, I don't know if it's 10 or 15,000 registered patients here in Georgia that have this card that says that they can have this medicine, but they don't have a way to get it.
Now, we know some of those protest hearings have been delayed, but will the public be allowed to sit in when they crank back up? Well, we asked the commission's executive director. He gave us a list of all the participants who would be in these hearings. The list did not include the public or the media. I asked to explain, and I haven't gotten an explanation yet. Russ, Courtney, but you know we'll keep asking.
All right. So the judges are political appointees,
yes.
right?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. You had three, the governor, lieutenant governor, and speaker of the House appointed the commissioners who then decided to be the judges on their own. And it wasn't blind, so they knew exactly who they were judging. And they didn't bring in any outside experts in the industry, as many other states have done, where they do blind judging, or they bring in somebody else and say, you're the expert, you judge.
Right.
But that's not how we did it here in Georgia.
Oh, I'd love to see a follow-up on this story.
We're far from done.
Yeah, looks like it.
Dale, thanks.